Hello, good evening, and welcome to the anti-penultimate episode of Quizzy Monday. Gerard in the chat has already told us that it's Happy Lady Day for Feast of the Annunciation, or whatever March 25th is. Yeah, I think it is Lady Day, so well done there, Gerard, for that little quiz factoid. Now, tonight, we starting a little unusually. We'll be talking about Mastermind. We don't have any guests from Mastermind. I'll also run through a few parish notices. Then at past this evening, or around thereabouts, we should be joined by the Trinity team from University Challenge and Justin from Imperial. That is going to be a cracking chat because we've seen two fantastic teams duke it out tonight. It wasn't as close as perhaps we might have thought it would be, but the caliber of play was absolutely superb from both teams. So look forward to chatting to those about their University Challenge experiences. Mastermind, on the other hand, was a very, very close affair, and we'll get onto that in a second. Don't forget, you can put your comments and questions in the chat if you've got anything to say, particularly about Mastermind. I'll try and pick those up whilst I go through my little review of it. Later on, of course, we'll get the nominees for Quizzer and Team of the Week as well. But first up, let's have a look at this. On Sunday, we have the latest in our All Things Quiz members quizzes, and it's a team quiz this time, so people will turn up, we'll put them into teams and give them the questions, send them off into Zoom rooms, and they'll consult, and it's a great laugh, these team quizzes, and people really socialize well. We form the teams on the night. If you want to play, you have to be one of our Patreon members. To become a Patreon member, you go to patreon.com/allthingsquiz. There will be a free trial available if you've not done a free trial before, so you can come along and play for free and see what it's like. So look out for that. That is this Sunday, patreon.com/allthingsquiz. Join us for that quiz. This week's winner of What's the Question was Ryan J. Murphy. The answer was Abby. And Ryan's question, which was voted for by you as the winner, was if you wrote all the words from the titles of Jane Austen's 6 finished novels in alphabetical order, which would appear first? Well done to Ryan for that. This week's answer in need of a question. Is Lime, not Abby. So ignore what it says there. Go to, you can have a vote on the long list at tinyurl.com/WITQ-Lime, and you'll be able to vote on the questions there. And don't forget, every Sunday on Facebook and X, we release a new answer in need of a question, and you can play along. You can send in your best questions, and people will vote for them. Also, every day on Facebook and X, we have lunchtime quiz time. At 12 o'clock, we release a question. This was today's: which American actress who gained the nickname Hanoi Jane after her 1972 visit to North Vietnam also received a second Oscar in 1979 for her role in Coming Home, a film about Vietnam veterans? That was, of course, Jane Fonda. So that's all kind of the news, catching you up on the week. Now, tonight's Mastermind, the last of the semi-finals, was a very, very tight affair. What was your favourite specialist subject? Tell us in the chat. We had bears, we had the novels of Muriel Spark, we had the Cricket World Cup, and we had William Harvey and the discovery of the circulation of the blood system. 4 very, very different subjects. But what was common about them was the way that each player scored very, very well. I think we had 3 10s and a 9. So there was very, very little between the players. It was an absolutely tense affair. Ultimately, it came down to passes, and we know that passing and is also always fraught with danger, and so it proved to be this time. Now, we were hoping we might get one of the players on. Tom Moody was on last time, and unfortunately, he's moved to Australia. So the time zone didn't really work out for Tom. But when it was on last time, he told us a little bit about why he chose this specialist subject for the semi-final, and a story that occurred with his namesake, Tom Moody. So let's just catch up with that.
The Cricket World Cup.
Oh my word! Are you
crazy?
It was
really, really fun to do because I don't know anything about cricket. I watched the final of the last Cricket World Cup, and that kind of got me into it. And I really got into it during the Ashes this year, which is when I was studying for Lord of the Rings. And I thought, if I get through, I'd love to do Cricket World Cup, because Lord of the Rings, I know it like the back of my hand. I'm kind of deep diving. Whereas cricket, I'm interested in it, but I don't know it. So it's kind of like everything I learn is adding to my general knowledge. It seems like it's a good investment. So I really enjoyed studying that. And then now Cricket World Cup's on now, so it seemed topical. So
great choice.
Yeah, that's really about March. I know I'm the first semi-final to be on. They said it in the recording,
Okay.
so I'll be first on in about March or April time.
Well, we'll look forward to that, and we might see if we can. We'll look at what the time differences are at that point and see if we can get you back on. But thanks so much, Tom. I know you're emigrating tomorrow. You've got a house full of people celebrating your performance. And of course, there was Tom Moody, a cricketer. So
I met him. I bumped into him. I got a train from Rochdale to Leeds while I was studying the Cricket World Cup. I got a train from Rochdale to Leeds on a Tuesday, midday. And as I came out of Leeds station, the Oval Invincibles 100 team was pulling up. And I thought, I'm not going to be one of those guys, you know. And I thought, but if I was one of those guys, who's on the team? You know, I looked it up and the first thing that came up, Tom Moody coach. And I thought, since I've been a kid, do you ever look your name up on the internet and just see who comes up? I used to look it up and see who comes up, and it would be like Tom Moody, coach of the Punjab Kings cricket team. I was like, who the hell is that? Where is that? 8-year-old me thinking, you know, rogue Australian cricket team in India. It surely can't be worth looking at. And I just thought, it's Tom Moody. He's never once coached a team in England. He is like, he's in his 60s now, and I just thought, I might never get this chance again. And it's serendipity. And I was waiting off the Oval Invincibles team bus, and I was looking for a picture of him on the internet going, I don't even know what this guy looks like. And the team was coming off the bus, and you've got like Heinrich Klaassen, you know, scored a century at the World Cup the other day, South Africa. You've got the Sam Curran, Toby Curran, Tom Curran. You've got all these big cricketers getting off, and I'm going, too young, grey haired. Tom Moody. I went, Tom. I went, oh, he didn't know me. Tom Moody. And he turned around, he was like that. And I went, I didn't know what to say. I went, I'm also Tom Moody. And he went, all right, yeah. And I was like, can I have a picture? And I was like, yeah, sure. He came over and had a picture of me. And he used to get called Long Tom Moody. He's 6'8" or 6'7". He's massive. He's standing next to me, and I was showing people pictures. And the first thing they went, I was going, yeah, very tall. I was showing people pictures. I was like, how cool is this? They met him, and he went, have you always been that small? I was like, oh, right. I shouldn't have shown it. So, yeah, tall guy. I got a picture with him. The rest of the team were getting pictures with him as well. And he went, I had a little chat with him, and I was stumbling to get words out. I went, ever since I was a kid, I looked at on the internet, and you come up and all sort of stuff. And I swear I'm not a stalker. I just happened to be here at the same moment. And our names are the same and all this sort of stuff. And I'm moving to Australia. And he went, where are you going? I went, Perth. And he goes, well, I'm from Perth, mate. And I was like, oh, brilliant. I might as well move to Perth then.
Also,
that would be 1 in a million. It was so rare. I can't
Amazing.
So that was Tom. Let me remove that from the screen. That was Tom. Now, I saw in the chat Gerard saying, anybody else watching this live tonight, it's a bit quiet. I've adjusted settings. I've moved the mic, Gerard. Is that a little bit better? Can you hear me better? You should be able to see the mic there. It's now in view. Let me know in the chat. I'll see that in about 20 seconds, 30 seconds probably, accounting for the delay. So that was Tom. Caught up with him earlier this morning. Early this morning for him anyway. He's enjoying the high life in Australia, so good luck to Tom. He didn't quite make it in Mastermind tonight. It was a tight match, as I said, 10-10-10-9 on specialist subjects. In terms of the general knowledge, again, the first person went, which was Karen. I thought Karen would, she did well. She took the score up to 20. She scored pretty... Oh, hang on. Gerard's meaning the chat was quiet, but not my volume. Thank you, Gerard. So she did well, but I thought 20 was not going to be anywhere near the winning score. I thought sort of 24 might be there. And then we had Tom Flowerdew go. I thought he had some tough questions tonight, and he kind of managed to get his way to 19. I kind of felt for him. I think there's the tough ones. Dab was tricky. Boy in the striped pajamas was tricky. A couple more. Bilbao. You know, if you don't follow Tour de France, you name a Spanish city. So it's tricky on him. Then we had Ruth. She went and pushed it out to or equaled the leading score with 20. Again, she could have perhaps got higher. She had a sticky ending to it, going throughout the last 4 wrong. So we were left with this kind of situation of Tom Moody, who we just saw there, only needed, and I say only needed 21, or indeed 20 with no further passes in order to win. And I think with Tom, we saw him go for speed. He missed some that I'm sure he would have wanted to get. He missed Anorak, which I think was a little bit tricky, you know, Kagul Anorak, you know, with much of the question until the last bit of it about kind of nerdy hobbies. Some of them were difficult. Peter Lawford, Barbara Kingsolver, Blue Lights TV show that he might not have seen. He pulled his way to 19, but there were a lot of passes in there, so he didn't quite make it. There was also one very long question about that, how a knight moves, which felt like it was never going to end. So yeah, it came down to it. Ruth Hart won with 20 points, and she won on passes. We always here we go, Chris saying the night question in chess was a bit too wordy. Yeah, the answer came, and it was like going back to the John Humphreys era with the length of the question. So that was tricky. What we got here? Oh, UC. We'll get onto that later. Curly whirly economics. So we'll look at that. So keep putting your things in the chat. Gerard, keep advising me on the volume of chat, both myself and in the chat function. What have we got? So yes, let us now look what all that meant when all was said and done for our predictions competition. These were the most popular predictions. To be honest, it was a relatively quiet night in terms of predictions. We had no points scored on Bears. I don't think any points were scored on Muriel Spark. Cricket World Cup, there were 2 correct answers there. And I think we had some in William Harvey. We didn't have any in the general knowledge. So not a huge amount of movement, no decisive moves, but let's see what difference it did make to the scores tonight. So Pam, who is normally in our chat, she got 4 points. Benny, a relative newcomer to the competition, 3. Chris, who's in the chat tonight, got 2 points. Margaret Partland, 2. Philip Isaac, the leader in this competition, got 2. Ed Mason in second place got 1. So with 1 week to go, this is how the standings, subject to audit and protest, look in the predictions competition. Philip Isaac is on 74 points, potentially a winning score there. Ed Mason on 69. He has a chance of winning next week because there are 6 players. We're going to double the number of general knowledge answers that we'll accept. So people will be able to give 2 guesses. So there'll be 6 points available on general knowledge. And of course, more points available because of 6 players in the main quiz. So there's still many points to be had. Ed is by 11 points ahead of Pam, the top scoring Patreon at the moment. So Ed is looking well placed to being our leading Patreon. So that's how the leaderboard stands. If you want to play, these are the final Mastermind subjects of the season, and you can get your guesses in. You can see the address down there. So we've got Wimbledon Singles Championships 2000 to present. The artist Francis Bacon, the ancient Greek poet Sappho. I think we heard from Helen last week that she's doing that. We got the Mercury Prize, I assume the Mercury Music Prize. We've got the French Revolutionary, the Marquis de Lafayette. If you're a fan of Hamilton, you'll be going Lafayette right now. And the composer and pianist Clara Schumann. So 6 very, very good subjects there, and lots of points in the prediction competition for people to gain. So I think that is everything on the Mastermind prediction competition. Yep, that is. So let's remove that. So congratulations to Ruth. Next week is the Mastermind final. We will be concentrating, of course, on Mastermind, and we'll be trying to get as many of the Mastermind finalists as possible on the stream to chat to us about it. We might see about getting some other familiar Mastermind faces as well. So unfortunately for University Challenge, it will take a little bit of a backseat as it tends to at this point of the season. So that's Mastermind. What we got in the chat? We've got Catherine saying, rallied a bit in the last 5 minutes of UC. Thank goodness he had a bit of a tough night on that. We are going to be coming back very, very shortly. And we will be joined by the Trinity team and Justin from Imperial. Before we do so, if you like what we do here at All Things Quiz, then please like and subscribe. If you like what we do here at All Things Quiz, then please make sure you click the subscribe button. Please also click the like button. That helps YouTube to recommend us to other people like you. You can also share our videos with others and click the notifications button to make sure you're alerted whenever we release a new video. And there's also this. Huge thanks to our community of All Things Quiz members. Your support helps us to keep this channel going. It pays for essential running costs. Now, if you want to become a member of All Things Quiz, all you have to do is go to patreon.com/allthingsquiz. And from £3 a month, you not only get to support the work of this channel, but there are a range of member benefits available, including our monthly quiz. Hope to see you soon. So yes, that quiz is on this Sunday. So sign up as a Patreon. You've got the free trial if you want to give it a go. And if you like it, maybe you'll stay as a patron and keep supporting us. Now, we have a bunch of folk from a University Challenge. Chris is saying, I'm not going to make my mint Imperial pun tonight. I'll leave the field open for the master. That is Gerard. I will try and bring them on in the seating order, but that might not work with the way that this... let me just make sure the format's right. So if we were looking at the studio, we'd have Justin. We'd then have Sarah, Agnijo, Ryan, and Jeremy. And of course, it doesn't show you in anything like that order. Evening, everybody.
Hello. Hi, Gareth. Nice to see you again.
It's good to see you again, Justin, and Trinity. Great to see you for the first time. We've very much enjoyed watching your progress over the course of this series. A thoroughly entertaining team to watch. Last week, Ben Russell Jones joining us, and he helped us kind of digest your match against Birkbeck. Some lovely moments in that, Sarah. We absolutely loved your classical music bonuses last week. That was one of the highlights. But generally, you've been such a good, entertaining team to watch, and I think. We will get to Imperial, of course, Justin. But I think one of the key things for me about Trinity was throughout the series, you've been a very, very good model of teamwork, of consultation, discussion, finding answers from different players at different times. I mean, you all have clearly some very big strengths. Whenever there's a mass starter, all eyes look at Banerjee, for example. But, but you've been such a really good team in terms of your team dynamics. Ryan, how was the team put together? How did you select the right blend to get you through to the semis?
That was a very big thing. I guess maybe quite different from how other teams are selected around the country. Is that for Trinity, the captain is preset, so the captain is picked sort of before the other team members are picked. So I had the pleasure and also the burden of picking the right team. So I had to set all the quizzes for the written round and also like the buzzer round. So I was the one who actually saw how the team worked, and I kind of had the privilege of being able to pick. Okay, these people work well together. I think I'll work with, say, Jeremy. This is going to be a really good team together. So that was something that was very much in the back of my mind, and I was part of Ludwig's team, so Trinity Bracket 2 years ago, and I thought their team was sort of the pinnacle of teamwork. They worked so well together, and that was what I was always trying to recreate in my mind. And I hope I've done that, and I think our results show that maybe I was some way along doing that. So I think that's kind of worked out well.
I think so. I mean, Sarah, you were in the I was going to say seat of death. I would, that seat the furthest away from the captain is potentially the one that's hardest to have an influence unless you've really got a good captain. How did you feel throughout the tournament, being in that seat and playing your part?
I mean, I think that was kind of a somewhat deliberate thing from our perspective as well. I feel like my lodge is probably the most specialised on the team, so it probably made most sense for me to be there. It's like whenever we get classical music, for example, people look to me anyway. Then other than that, if there is something I have to contribute, I can do so. But usually the people who are going to have most contributions on the more general stuff are going to be Jeremy and Aguijo. So I think that could have worked quite well for our team structure, I think.
Yeah, and the classical music, definitely, you shone on. You got unlucky tonight with that bonus set. I would think in bonuses in general tonight, they didn't fall kindly for you. There must have been times when you were looking at the bonuses Imperial had and been thinking, I really want those. And then you get the what was it, the obscure, obscure, maybe she's not Pauline, was it Pauline Oliveris, and then the classical music theory and stuff that was linked to, I don't know, the underground. I love the Cave Wave.
Any of the Mariannes, for example, we were blanking very hard on those.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if the Imperial team would have got them. Do you have an idea when you had those questions, Justin?
Justin, how would you have done?
For the Mariannes, I would have looked to my teammates in complete helplessness.
It's not just us then.
Yeah.
I mean, they were. I mean, when you get to the semi-final, are you expecting the questions to go up a notch in difficulty, or stay at the same sort of level that you've had previously? Jeremy, I mean, what was your sense going into it?
Well, first of all, I would like to congratulate Imperial for winning today's game. We had some discussion after the match, but actually the point is because Imperial was just another level, a different level. And we had no regrets about today's game because we had some regrets about the UCL and Manchester games, but with this one, it was a different level.
I have to say that Trinity is probably my favorite team to watch in this entire season because, I mean, you're a bit like me, 3 parts quizzes, 1 part organic chemist, and Ryan is probably a much better organic chemist than I am, since, well, he's hopefully not on the verge of failing his degree.
Oh, Justin.
Hopefully.
I think something that Jeremy mentioned that I'd probably like to pick up on is saying Imperial were just so much better than us that I think it was almost nice that it was a clean loss. If we lost by 20 or 30 points, it would have been going home on the train, like, maybe if I was a bit quicker on atom economy, maybe that would have changed things. But look at it, you beat us by 130, 140 points. So there's no point where you're going, you're so close. We're like, you know what, you guys are the better team. Like, fair play to you. You guys are the
better team.
Hopefully, go through and win the entire competition. That's what we're thinking about on the way home.
We got a comment here. Justin, do your degree challenge impossible or Ashling, I think from Warwick, is that Durham, that's it. I mean, it started off okay for you, Trinity. You got the first buzz, and then Justin just went off on one. And I think this is the cruelty of the format is you can all know exactly the same stuff. But if somebody is a fraction of a second ahead of you, they're monopolizing. It's like first past the post elections. They're taking everything and leaving you with nothing. When Justin and team got off to such a flyer, how do you kind of mentally kind of react to what's going on at that point, Ryan? Are you kind of taking stock of, okay, plans out the window, we've got to go for it, or don't panic? What are you thinking as a team?
Well, I think I was sort of looking around to both sort of Jeremy and Agnesia, like, okay, we have come back from losses. I think that's something we were, I think, like 75 points behind against Open, maybe like 2 or 3 times, and we managed to claw it back. We can do this. What do you say?
For us, it worked both ways. So
we've had games where we've been way up ahead, like against UCL, and we've seen them claw up. So we at no point do we think that this game has gone for us. But I think like maybe by the second picture round, when they were like in the 200s and we hadn't even got to 3 digits yet, we were just like, okay, let's just enjoy the rest of the game. Like they are going to win. So I think at one point you do kind of have that switch. You're like, okay, they are just going to win this. But like I think throughout we were, when it was like 100 and like 20, like 100 versus 20, something like that, we were like, we still have a shot. We just have to let the questions come our way. But I think Justin was just on every single question. He grabbed all the starters. So fair play to Justin for being so good. We never got like a foothold in the game. We never got like a good run of questions that we could sort of build upon.
Right. Agnijo, you were the most successful buzzer on the Trinity team tonight. You've had a good series on the buzzer. Do you feel kind of an extra pressure when you're behind? You've got to get in that fraction earlier, make that judgment of you're going to know it that little bit sooner, or did you just keep your play the same?
It's hard to tell really, because I guess it's just like I'm not really sure, but it's just like at these points, it's like if you don't know something, then it's hard to really come up with anything that it might be really like before. Like, especially because like Justin especially was buzzing that fast that like it's kind of hard to think of anything before then. So like quite often. So unless it's just something that, like if I recognize something immediately, then like maybe I have a chance of getting in before then. But otherwise.
I think that's what I really felt going up against someone like Justin, is like people who are so good at quiz, they have this innate instinct of knowing when to press the buzzer. Even if they don't know the answer fully, they back themselves. They'll get the answer 90% of the time by the time their name's called. Also, I feel I was kind of going into all my games thinking, I know the answer, now I'm going to buzz. But against people who are better quizzers, for lack of a better word, they will just beat you on this because they have that like, I might know this, and they buzz in immediately. So like that was sort of something I kind of was a rude awakening, like going into that, like, oh wow, that was just so good of a buzz. What I was thinking, like, is that exactly correct? So like I guess sort of different ways of approaching when to buzz.
Yeah. What's your approach, Justin? Because it worked, whatever it was.
Well, I guess there's this philosophy in Imperial of just buzz first, worry later. Which, you've seen me get a few incorrect interruptions in the last 2 games I was on, but those were pretty good performances on the whole. So I guess you just have to risk it.
Yeah, and there is that risk-reward ratio, and I guess the further you're behind, the more you kind of have to perhaps take a gamble. Ryan, I think you got possibly the only neg on your team tonight, but over the course of the series, how do you stop, a neg getting to you and kind of knocking you out of your stride?
I think that's probably a question best answered by Jeremy or Amnesia, because I think that was my first neg of the entire series. So I've always been a very cautious buzzer in that I will know, I'll have a full idea of what the answer is, then buzz. So I think it would be better asked to Jeremy or Amnesia.
Okay, Jeremy, let's hear from you to start with then.
For me, it didn't make much difference because the games feel so short. I mean, the adrenaline is high. You don't even have time to worry about it. You only blame yourself after the game, but not during the game. So it doesn't affect my performance throughout the game.
Yeah, you have better things to do.
Ignicho, same for you. Did water off a duck's back?
I mean, the weird thing is like in the sort of like Cambridge quiz, like I'm generally considered like a rather cautious there in that sense. But the thing is, it's like when I was negging, it's like I said something that like it was usually a very understandable mistake to make. Like I remember like last episode there's an egg where it said like, oh, like this name of like this wife of King David, and I kind of buzzed because I was thinking like, oh, either it's going to be Bathsheba or it's going to be someone who I haven't heard of, so like I might as well just buzz.
I think the most unfortunate neg that we had was with A Theory of Time.
Oh yeah.
Yes, that was.
They literally said it just after Agnijo buzzed. It was so unfortunate.
Oh yeah.
I thought that was a bit unfair.
Yeah, I mean that was a hard question. I wouldn't have got it though with the full thing.
I think the thing with negging is having the belief in the rest of your team that they will get the other questions right. So your 5 points that you lose here won't matter because your team has got your back, right? I make an egg, but Agnesia's going to get the next 2 starts in a row, so we can forget about that and move on. It's having that belief in your team. Like, I could have a bad day. It's all right. We have 3 other people on the team that could win any episode on their own. Because having that belief, that kind of helps you go forward.
Sarah, does that give you a lot of confidence as a player that, even if, a bonus set or a starter comes up on your pet subject and you don't kind of ace it for whatever reason, that actually this is not a team that's going to have recriminations and kind of pull you apart and that sort of thing? Does it give you that,
absolutely.
that confidence? Yeah.
It's good. I think I definitely kind of get in my head about it like a little bit. Like, I tend to beat myself up about negs quite a lot, which I know I shouldn't logically, but I still do it. Probably something I need to kind of improve in quizzing. But it is nice that, like, on level, like, I know the team kind of won't care, and I know that, like, no matter kind of how much I mess up, if anything on other topics, like, they can do a great job on. So,
Justin, had you come across the Trinity team before in any quiz bowl or tournaments or anything like that?
Well, 3 of them was all of them except for Ryan, I think our most recent encounter all 3 of them were there was at a quiz tournament done after filming but before airing.
Right.
Which was a pretty fun experience.
Yeah.
I mean, speaking of negs, I think also when I did my neg at the second start of the game, I thought Soraya was supposed to be the Shakespeare specialist, but my train of thought was this. We have buzzed very quickly in the last 4 games. Soraya hasn't buzzed in 2 seconds. Bzz. Oh wait, I actually know the answer. Soraya has since forgiven me for this. Fatima Sharif, I doubt she has.
That one, like, I mean, I was supposed to be like the guy who knows Shakespeare on my team, but I think I almost I was saying sorry after that because I think I basically just I was supposed to be the guy who knows Shakespeare. I just basically forgot every character other than like Viola and Malvolio from 12th Night.
Yeah,
it's just like my mind just went blank.
I've only read the Chinese translations, and it's a subplot of one of those comedies that people who don't specifically appreciate Shakespeare don't really go into. So yeah, that one's on me.
Another big thing with sort of making mistakes and like feeling blame is that like after we sort of got to the second, third game, I think we'd all done our part in various different matches where we were the reason that we got to the next part. So at that point, we were just like, we're here because all of us have contributed. And from then on, we can't blame anybody else for getting something wrong. Like, we're only here to the quarterfinals where Sarah had an amazing performance against Warwick. We're only here because Agnesio and Jeremy had a great performance against Manchester. So if you kind of think of it that way, you're like, there's no pressure on us. Let's just enjoy it.
Yeah.
I think at the start, we were thinking, let's get to the quarterfinals. And from the quarterfinals, let's just enjoy it. We're getting at least 2 more games. So that's kind of how we viewed it. I think viewing it in that sense kind of takes a bit of the stress off the team, but also the individual having to perform. We're kind of thinking of it, we're a team, like we've done this together. There's no pressure on just one person to perform. I think that's kind of a way we sort of approach the games.
That's a really healthy attitude, and I think that probably helps you enjoy the experience more as well. Did you come away from the experience thinking, that was a lot of fun as opposed to, that was a lot of stress and pressure?
Yeah. I think the Warwick game was probably the game we were so stressed about. Like, we can't reveal like exactly how many episodes we filmed in one block or anything, but we went into that Warwick game just very tired. And like, obviously the Warwick has that reputation along with it. The Warwick is a historically strong quizzing university, and Agnesia and Sarah knew people on their team. So we're going in there thinking, if we lose this, that's it, we're out. Like we've had our 3 games, that'll be it.
Yeah,
so
like when we find.
That's probably our most stressful game. But I think once we got over the hurdle of Warwick, which is probably like once we got over that, I think in that match, Jeremy and I were like hugging at the end because we were just like so elated. Because we're just like, okay, we've made the hurdle, we're now into the quarterfinals. We can just take it a little bit easier. So I think that definitely helped us.
Yeah. But also, I think you said after that match that like, okay, like it's a quarterfinals now. Now all of the matches will be like Warwick level hard. And and like they were, and like they genuinely were. Like in
I
terms
guess
of
you,
this
you
one.
know at that point that any team you come up against is going to be super good, and there's going to be the finest margins in terms of who gets in on the buzzer and how the questions fall in terms of starters and bonuses. There are so many little factors that that are going to influence it, that there can't be any recriminations or whatever if you don't make it through, because you've done so well to get to the semi-finals anyway. Justin, though, did you feel, and perhaps there's a discussion for 2 weeks' time, but did you feel added pressure because of the recent history of Imperial?
Recent history of Imperial? Well,
winning
I
the thing.
think that the greatest pressure put onto me was that, teams that got into the final get to stay in Manchester for another day and get a free breakfast, get a third free breakfast. And that, I have to say, was probably my greatest motivator, because free food. Can't get free food.
Well,
Yeah.
there's
I think we probably had as many free meals as you, because we've also stayed for so many episodes, a sheer number of episodes we had to film, that we were just there the entire time. We were just,
How does that square with your studies? We heard earlier Justin saying about how his studies are going, but I mean, Sarah, if you're filming that many episodes, are you having to go kind of begging to lecturers, can I have an extension on this, or does it interfere with your studies?
Yeah, a little bit, somewhat. I think I definitely could have piled on a bit too much on like the extracurricular side, including all the university challenge stuff. Like when this is all kind of being filmed, and kind of very much kind of fell behind on a lot of things, but working to catch up since then. So it is definitely tough to balance. I think I also had like a few days after the final, which is a bit unfortunate, but yeah, it is definitely a tough thing to manage. But I think people do tend to kind of understand that this is quite a special opportunity that we're not going to get again in our lives. So
yeah. Do you think maybe, I guess, I don't know how many students there are in Trinity, but I'm guessing significantly less than Imperial, and maybe that smaller community would perhaps be a little bit more understanding. Maybe they know what it means to Trinity to have the profile and exposure, and you kind of big fish in a smaller pond. Maybe, I don't know. Didn't go to Oxford or Cambridge, so I don't know quite how it works there. But
I guess it's a slightly weird system, because most of our teaching is done kind of centrally outside of the college, or at least in my faculty it is. So it's kind of a bit of a mismatch. I'm representing Trinity, and then all my teaching is done with Cambridge. So, but even so, people tend to be quite understanding. Yeah.
Interesting. Jeremy, I'm very interested. If I remember rightly, and forgive me if I'm wrong, you're from Białystok, did you say?
Yes.
In Poland. So what I find incredible is the ability to kind of think in a second language and quiz quite as brilliantly as you did. I mean, did you come over to the UK when it was just for your degree? Had you been here longer? What's your kind of background?
I only came here for my undergrad in 2019.
Right.
And it was also something special for me, because I was always a bit afraid of speaking English, because it wasn't even my second language, but third. So that was something special for me in that regard. Also, given the fact that I wasn't even aware of the existence of University Challenge until one of my friends told me that I should go for the tryouts, because I should be a good fit, and I just asked them, what is it? Because I'm not watching the British TV, so I've never heard about this show.
Yeah. I just find that incredible, because it's one thing to have phenomenal knowledge, which all of you do, but it's quite another to be able to kind of pass the clues as they're being read out in, as you say, your third language, and then retrieve the answers in your third language. It's just chapeau. I mean, that's just
the game, our Warwick game, where you just turn to me and you're like, hi, like at the end when you're going so quickly, as Warwick will catch come, and you just went to me like, I can't fully like understand at the speed he's saying it. Because at times when Amel, like, I think that's probably the fastest I've ever seen Amel read like ever. I think after that match, and we came to the quarterfinals expecting something similar. We just never got to that speed. Like at the end, he was just rattling them off, and like even I was there, like, "Ooh, this is very quick." I could barely understand what he's saying. So,
did you feel that he feeds off the speed of the teams as well? So if you're buzzing quickly, answering quickly, getting through bonuses quickly, that he speeds up?
To be fair, I think that he just tried to make it more emotional. But after the second round, he was told by the producers to slow down a bit. That's my impression. Because I think, if I remember correctly, one of the teams was protesting against his spacing.
Okay.
There was something like this.
Because it's been a big shift from the Paxman era, or the end of the Paxman era anyway, which we understand the reasons why he was slower, but it has been a noticeable change. And I guess if you prepared on one basis and then now you're hearing it a lot quicker, it's going to be challenging.
Yeah, I remember we were watching some old kind of episodes as practice, and we were putting them on 1.5 times speed just to get used to animals reading pace much faster than
also, that's a strategy that we didn't use. we were stuck with Paxman videos, and he doesn't really read quickly.
I mean, even if it's at 1.5 times speed, and if it's read at the same speed as Amal reads it, you could just never replicate the pressure you're in. Like, I'm just watching these episodes back. I'm like, I think back to myself, like, that was a really fast buzz. I'm just watching it back, like, I buzzed like 3 seconds later than I thought I buzzed. Like, you just never replicate that feeling of being in the studio, like focusing on every single word in a way that you don't quite do when you're watching, on YouTube. You kind of just let it flow over you. So I think that's interesting. Like, but we definitely thought about the speed as like a very big thing, especially after our fast episode against Manchester. And once he came back and preparing for the second episodes, we were thinking, we need to be ready for very quick questioning.
So that leads me on to, I guess, thinking, how did you prepare yourselves as a team? If you're thinking in terms of the speed after like your first round, what did you do beforehand to kind of bring this team together that you'd assembled and get you ready for the show?
So I think I'll split it up into sort of two parts: before our first match and then after our first match. I think it really changed. Before our first match, there actually wasn't that much time between when we were told that we were going to be on the show and the actual filming. I think I can say that without breaking any NDAs. And then we were in different parts of the world. I think Amnesia was in Brazil, so we had to wait. Were you in Tokyo then?
And I was in Rio, literally, like, against Manchester. One of the bonuses were on like antipodal cities, and it was it was literally Rio and Tokyo.
So like it was a struggle to even get everybody like in the same like time that we can all talk. So like before the first match, we were just like, okay, let's just get anything done. And I think before the episode, I think the benefit of being at Cambridge or Oxford is that there are so many colleges who are also going on. There's 3 colleges going on. So I reached out to them and said, do you want to do a practice? So I think we played against, in that like 2 or 3 days before our first episode, we played against the Emma team, the Kings team, and was it the Wolfson team?
Yeah, Wolfson's. Yeah.
Wolfson team. So like, we did try to once we were all in the same place, we did try to get match practice. I think it's very different to like buzz against someone else as opposed to buzzing against like a computer or someone else. I think, did we play against Lincoln as well before the fast match, or was that our second?
That might have been afterwards.
Maybe.
It's all kind of merging together.
I think that was after. Because we definitely played Hartford and Lincoln at some point, but I think that was afterwards.
Yeah, so like we did have this idea of like, okay, we need to get ready. But I think since we had only like Amnesia had just come back from Brazil, Sarah just come back from Tokyo, we were kind of going to the first episode like, let's get over this fast hurdle, then we'll have the actual time to prepare for our second episode. That was kind of something that was in our mind. And I think what was really nice after our first episode is we played against Manchester. We had that, very close game, ended on a tiebreaker. And like we had lunch afterwards after Manchester won. We were kind of thinking to ourselves, we're probably going to come back as high scoring losers. Let's keep in touch. Let's practice together. So we exchanged details. And then from then on, we actually practiced a lot with Manchester. So we're doing like 2-3 practice sessions in Manchester, which
wow.
I think is something that many other teams won't ever get like the opportunity to. But we were very lucky in that the fast team we played against, we were very similar in level, and then we were able to keep practicing together as we we're both progressing through the series. So that was really nice to practice with Manchester, Hero and his team.
Also put additional pressure on us because we felt that we were this close to winning this game. So we were learning and studying much harder. And I think it's fair to say that the fact that we were paired with Manchester in our first match allowed us to progress to the semifinals. Because if it was an easy win in the first game,
then we've got Warwick in the second round. We had Warwick. If we hadn't prepared as much as we did, and then we were up against Warwick, like we would be knocked out in the second round.
Yeah, that's interesting to hear the degree to which you were playing fellow colleges, which makes sense. But the Manchester thing, that's genius, really, because you know that most of you are only going to come up against each other once more, and that will be quite late on. So we
were thinking to ourselves like, let's prepare for this. For the final, when we both progress up the different sides, we meet at the final and it'll be like full circle. That was our dream. Obviously, it didn't happen with the results, but that was kind of what we were planning for. And I think it was really nice that we were sort of going, as I said, the same level. So we were, as you see, they've got through to the semis. So we were just at the same level. So it was just really nice to have someone to practice with. And I think like most other teams just don't get opportunities. So we're very lucky in that sense. That we met a very nice team who are very similar to us in terms of ability. And I think I'm really sort of grateful for that. And Hero's become a really good friend. So I think it's been very nice.
Yeah, and then that's great. I mean, the series seems to have been played in a very, very good spirit. It's been one of the things that's kind of been remarked on a number of times, but that just kind of shows that it kind of carries on beyond the camera. Justin, in a way, Imperial's in a similar position to Trinity in that you've got other educational establishments in London that you could practice against. You're probably not going to have the same number that are going on the show, but UCL were on. Did you play against any other London teams?
Well, we played exhibition matches 3 times. The first one was against old Imperial people, former teams. So people like Michael Mays, Fatima Sharif, and all the like. And then we lost. Then we had a first playing block and we beat Balliol. And then then between the first and second playing blocks we played Edinburgh. They fielded a team. They got the highest scoring. They were the highest scoring team in the first round, and then they got eliminated by Manchester. And then, in our exhibition match, we lost. And then we won the next 2 games. And then between the second and first playing blocks, we were planning to do a 3rd exhibition match. And then it occurred to me that maybe we should lose this one as well. So
it's working well for you.
Strongest people that we are friends with that has went on the show, and we got demolished, including Imran Rahman from the 2021 series, who in the music round got the question by hearing exactly 1 note. It was Symphony Fantastique by Berlioz, and that bang was very distinctive.
That's interesting. Chris Dyson has said in the chat, the teams are so lovely that even the gangs of middle-aged men on social media didn't get outraged about you not knowing Sonic Youth. That's how much people liked you.
That's something that's comforting to hear. Also, actually, just one thing to add on the Manchester and Trinity thing. We came to the second sort of filming thing, and we were speaking with some of the producers, and Muaz, who was one of the sort of people helping out, were actually very surprised that we become good friends and been practicing, because he said he'd never heard of stuff like this before. So I think it is a sort of anomaly, but it has worked out fantastic for us. And we wish Manchester all the best. They are the team we support in our next match.
And that's completely understandable. Justin, there was one thing that I spotted, and now when everybody does the intro and you say, I'm Justin, and I'm Canadian. I can't remember. Did you say Hong Kong? I can't remember. But there was that. This sounds like Toronto, and then there was this beam that spread across your face. Is there a particular pleasure from getting something that feels like a home question?
Well, I mean, it would be much more at home to me if it was something from Hong Kong. I've only started living in Canada since 2021, and out of all the 4 places in Toronto without Amal Rajan mentioned, I have been to exactly none of them. Well, it's just a grin of, okay, great, I will not be blasted on the internet.
And that,
Yeah.
I guess that's a valid concern if we look at some previous years, particularly. How much, Trinity, I guess, go to you. How much concern or worry or awareness did you have of, yeah, we're playing a game here, we're trying to win a match, but there will be people online who will be picking us apart for all sorts of things, some of them fair, some of them completely unfair. Is that even in your mind when you're going through the process of trying to get on the team, trying to get on the show, and then walking into studio?
Does anyone want to go? God, I've been speaking so much for the team, so
I don't think I was afraid of it, but it's something that actually happened to me and Ryan. To me, in case of my course, because there was this bonus round on genetics, and for Ryan, there was a question about Korean CT, and we both got them wrong. So.
I guess that's the nightmare scenario, isn't it? Your specialism, and you don't pick.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I was actually always wanting for some sort of Korean thing to come up, so I'll be able to, be on the show and say it in perfect Korean, and then just be accepted. That was like one of my dreams. But then that question comes up, what is the 4th biggest city? And I remember in the studio, I just turned around to Amal and just swear. Single word swear. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say it on this show. And Amal's like, we're gonna have to cut that out.
Yeah.
That was probably like one of my worst nightmares, come true. But I think overall, it really depends on what people consider a mistake. Obviously, I have more of a science background, and if I make a slight scientific error, most people won't actually pick up on it, even though anybody who does the science will be like, oh, that is so wrong. Between adrenaline and say cortisol, people doing it will be like, that is so wrong. When I made the mistake on heart valves, anybody who knows any biology will be like, that is so wrong. But it doesn't get picked up quite as much as when you get music band wrong. I think there are different things that are picked up by different people on what speaks to the public in terms of how incorrect something is. So I guess I was sort of shielded in that sense. I could say something wrong completely about science, they'll be like, yeah, that sounds about reasonable, when it could be completely wrong. So
Right.
And there's also the moment that we joked about that it was in the open match, the question that which 2 countries are in both the Commonwealth.
Oh, the EU one.
Yeah, I made a lot of newspapers after that. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
In my defense, I actually just heard Europe. I didn't even hear European Union. When you do these matches, you're in such hyper-focused mode, and you're only picking out specific words. You hear Commonwealth, you hear Europe, and you're like, okay, that's all I have now in my head. I don't even remember what the full question was. So I think if you watch the episode, you'll see me just he mentions Brexit. It just takes me a while. Why would Brexit be relevant? He said Europe, and it takes me a while. They're European Union. I'm like, okay, now I see my mistake. That was very stupid. But I mean, I think
it wasn't stupid. I was sat at home without the pressure of TV lights and adrenaline and all that, and I did exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Because to me, I'll never accept that we're no longer in the EU. So I just kind of,
I think you hear Commonwealth, and it immediately you just think of the UK. You hear Commonwealth, you just can't get that out of your head. Well, starting for me, I had Commonwealth and EU, Europe. So I was like, what else is in Europe?
Yeah. I mean, that's but it's But
I think overall, if you read the YouTube comments, the comments have been so much nicer. There have been so many more positive comments, you guys worked so well as a team. That was a fantastic buzz. The nicer comments. I mean, I thought in my mind, I see some horrible comments and stupid things, or some. I know there's nasty stuff on the internet, but overall, the YouTube comments and the stuff on Twitter have been so overwhelmingly positive compared to negative. I think it's been a really good experience for all of us. I think I can say that for the whole team. That you read through these comments and you're they really appreciate the fact that even if you get stuff wrong, we know so much, and I think it's nice that they understand that we are students. We won't know everything, but we are trying our best.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully,
I like. Oh, sorry. Go on.
Sorry, just saying, like, hopefully, if there are like particularly nasty comments, like hopefully, like Cosmic Pumpkin does, will hopefully moderate them out. So
Cosmic Pumpkin.
yeah.
I mean, I noticed during the week, Agni Joe, you even had like former teachers coming out, kind of posting online with pride at how well you've done, and people who presented you with awards in the past. Have you had people like come out of the woodwork from your past to kind of congratulate you all?
Yeah, kind of like definitely people like that my family know, like my family have been like spreading it out like everywhere that I've been on.
Yeah.
So obviously and stuff like that, and like my like high school and stuff, like they all know. So.
Yeah. So I mean, unfortunately for you, Trinity, you didn't make it to the final. Very magnanimously, Ryan, I guess, and understandably, it's like the margin of victory means that you're not kind of left thinking ifs and buts. I mean, it's been a while now. I imagine since you filmed it, a good number of months, quite a long time. In the time since, have you kind of reflected on the experience? What have you taken away from it as individuals and as a group of people?
That is a hard question, so I'll nominate someone to start, and and then I'll take it up at the end.
Yeah.
Does anyone want to go first?
Yeah, I can start. So for me, it was it reminded me why I enjoyed quizzing in my high school, and it's always nice to make the world around you a bit more familiar, because if you're sort of obsessed with all these tiny fun facts and connections that things make, it feels like a nicer place to live in. So that was my take.
Nice.
I think sort of similar to Jeremy. I think I was sort of rediscovering this like childhood love of learning. When you're a kid, you want to learn everything, right? You want to the book. You don't even know what it means, but you want to flick through the pictures. And I think like going through those few months when we're filming, we're just like we just absorb everything. It was kind of like that childhood wonder of learning everything, like reading through all these like books that you had that you're like, oh, there'll be a better time to read this. Let me read up on like animals, but like you kind of shoved it away. But you could take it out and you're like, now I have a purpose to read this. And I think that sort of like kickstarted me into like actually like why are there all these books sitting in my bookshelves that I'm not reading? Let me actually go through them. I think that's been like a positive thing. Like it's sort of kickstarted once again, like the love of learning, which I think sometimes can fade away as you go through high school, through uni. When you become more hyper focused on one specific area, you inevitably read just about that area, right? And you do a PhD and you're just so focused on that area. And I think it was really nice to sort of pull me out of that and think, there's so many cool things in the world. Like Jeremy will just message me like, did you know this? I'm like, I did not know that. That's so cool. Let me read up on it. Stuff like that. I think that's probably the best thing that's sort of come out of this. It's kind of like reigniting that passion for learning everything.
Wonderful. Agni Joe?
I guess in terms of what it's like, the thing is like I guess like reflecting back on it, like it's kind of been a childhood dream of mine to be on UC. Like ever since I was like very young, like I don't know, like maybe about eight or nine. I can't even remember if it was like even before then. Like I was just like watching UC with my family and thinking. And thinking both like, oh, these people are really clever, and also thinking I want to be there one day, and so yeah. And finally, although when I got to uni, it took me like this was my 5th attempt at trying to get on the team.
Wow! But it happened in the end.
Yeah.
That 8-year-old child would be very impressed.
Now you're one of the people that people are thinking, wow, this guy is so smart.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hopefully I can inspire future people to try to get on the show and enjoy quiz, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully too. Yeah. Sarah, how about you finally?
I mean, like on a more kind of quizzing level, I think I really enjoyed the opportunity to quiz like with one specific team. So I guess often in quiz bowl circles, like it'll depend on who's available for a specific tournament. You're always kind of quizzing with different people, which is nice in its own way. But I think I really enjoyed the opportunity to just like have 7 matches with those 3 people where I kind of know what kind of things they know. I kind of trust that if like some art comes up, then Jeremy's going to be on it. If it's sort of chemistry, then Ryan's going to be on it. Maths, and Adrian's got it. And then it means you kind of relax in those areas rather than be kind of constantly listening, like, oh, maybe I have to take this. I think it's sort of a really nice opportunity to like trust in your teammates and then also feel trusted by your teammates. And
yeah, lovely. Are we likely to see any of you on another quiz show at some point in the future? This might be the pinnacle, but maybe there are other pinnacles to come once you've reached one mountaintop. You see another.
Yeah, like the Ratchet Pro from SN1 reaction.
I mean, I've not considered it yet. I mean, I do have a PhD to do, but I'll say never say never. I don't know if something comes our way, I'll look it up. I think one thing I've realized is like from this, like I didn't really know what like actually going on the show would be like, but it's just been more fun than I would have imagined it being. So if there's another opportunity, I'll always say yes. But again, I think it is. I think maybe a caveat to this. I really want a good team. I think the good team aspect is, I think, so crucial to quizzing. Like, if I didn't have the team I had with me, like, I would not have enjoyed this experience as much. Like, we would not have spent as much time quizzing together, like preparing and like getting to the semis. Like, sometimes you might see like obviously University Challenge looks more like a quiz, like a team quiz than Mastermind, which is obviously a single effort. But like, even though the starters are solitary efforts, like the amount of like trust and like you get as you quiz together, it is really quite something. And I think the importance of team in the quiz, I think, is important. So if I get a good team together, yes, I might do another quiz show.
Yeah. Well, we look forward to seeing any and all of you when you crop up. Now, Justin, the reward for winning is to be in the grand final in 2 weeks' time. Obviously, already filmed, but as I'm sure well, you've never told us anything up to now. So, but after the semi-final, how long did you have to wait for the final? Was it the same day? Was it next day?
Yeah, we waited for a few hours.
Okay.
During which we got a somewhat filling lunch. We're not going to make the mistake we made in the last filming block and ate too much, and then we made things dangerous against Sheffield, which and the coffee, a cup of coffee.
Yeah, hard to prepare yourselves. I know from past experience that sometimes eating is the last thing you want to do when you're really nervous before a big match. But from what we've heard from you, Justin, eating was one of the big bonuses of being on University Challenge. So.
Yeah. You quiz on the stomach.
You do indeed, and it's an underappreciated kind of aspect that the fuel that you put into your body you're going to need when you've got all that nervous energy and just the duration of sometimes waiting around that you have. So, look, I don't know. I'm hopeful we'll get to speak to you, Justin, in a couple of weeks' time, but we'll chat offline about that. But we really enjoyed watching Imperial as well up to this point. Very, very good teams. Pretty much the same things I was saying at the outset about Trinity. The teamwork, the strengths of the various players. Your aggression on the buzzer has been phenomenal. So it's going to set up a brilliant final, but we don't as yet know who you're going to be playing. So we'll find that out next week. But next week on this show will be all about the Mastermind Grand Final, and we'll probably do a little bit of chat about UC. But unfortunately, unless the BBC schedule is going to do something crazy and move the Mastermind Grand Final, 3 weeks from now.
Island-shattering event.
Yeah. So yes, we will focus. But then when we get to University Challenge Grand Final, it will be all about the University Challenge Grand Final, and it will also be the last episode of Quizzy Monday. So, we'll hopefully have a nice few guests from our past as well. Justin, Sarah, Jeremy, Ryan, Agnew Joe. It's been so lovely having you on and hearing from you and chatting to us tonight. But more than that, thank you so much for being brilliant on the show for multiple matches. You know, people like me who never got to go on but enjoy watching the show. You know, look on at yourselves and you see people making the most of the experience, and you think that's how you do it. You know, that's what I would have loved to have done, and it's so lovely to see teams enjoying it, playing it well, and giving us immense entertainment. So, just once more, thank you, Justin, Sarah, Jeremy, Ryan, and Agnico. It's been brilliant. Yeah, we're going to have to move on and chat about nominees for Quizzer and Team of the Week and all of that sort of thing. At this point, you are free to click leave studio if you wish, or you can stay whilst I read out all of this stuff and close out the show. It's entirely up to you. But it's been lovely having you on, and thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you for having
Thank
us
you
on.
for having us.
I hope you've enjoyed us on our journey through.
Yeah, it's been wonderful.
Have a good evening.
All right, good evening, Justin, and get back to your studies.
Bye.
Okay, so here's the news from the world of quiz from the last week or so. Last week's Quizzer of the Week was Helen Lepel, who won the semi-final of Mastermind. Scott Blish got 15 out of 15 in a Mimir competition. He was second. Dom Tate got third, I think, for a performance in Pop Culture Challenge. I might be wrong on that. First in Team of the Week was Mangoes, the champions of Online Quiz League. Second was the Squirrel, who I believe their Merseyside Quiz League team. Third was Periodically Tabled. I really should refresh my memory before these shows. Nominees for Quiz and Team of the Week. Now, there's been quite a few here. So obviously, Ruth Hart, who won this semi-final of Mastermind, she is nominated. Yogesh Rout won the Jeopardy Tournament of Champions, an annual tournament of all the people who won more than a certain number of episodes of Jeopardy. So Yogesh gets nominated for that. Then we got, I can't read my writing, Shun Hao, winner of episode 3 of the Chinese Poetry Quiz, and Satsuki Matsuzaki, who won a quiz called ABC in Japan. It's on YouTube. World Quiz Info. If you don't follow them on Facebook and Twitter. They've brought a number of different quiz cultures to light, and Japanese quizzing this week is one of them, so look out for those. Quiz League, and other tournaments. Bryden Coverdale won the Victorian Quiz Championship, which is not an ancient quiz championship, but it's Victoria, the state in Australia. Bryden is a chaser on the Australian version of the chase. Dal Jackson got 7 out of 8 in the QLL plate, but it was the only 7 out of 8 across cup and plate. Jack Pollock on Saturday won OQL's International Championship, being an international field of about 300 people. Fantastic performance by Jack. Emma Laslett got 13 out of 15, the best score on their own questions in the Pop Culture Challenge. Gary Blackshaw got 7 out of 8 in OQL Division 7. There are a number of people who got 7 out of 8 in OQL, but in Division 7 was quite some way the best performance by a lower position player. Now, in Bundesliga, it was week 1. Pat Gibson got 12 of his own questions correct in Bundesliga International, and Subrat M got 13 out of 13 own, in Bundesliga India. Team of the Week, Imperial. We saw them earlier. They won the semi-final. They get a nomination. And Team Pogensi, they won episode 3 of the Chinese Poetry Quiz. In other team quizzing, Sussex won the Quiz League London President's Cup. That was a ferociously tight tournament this season, with I think all but one of the teams getting 5 or 4 wins out of 11. So very, very competitive. But they managed to nick it by virtue of having one more draw than everybody else. Manos Castro were the top scorers in Quiz Nations Portugal. Back in the Victorian team quizzing championships in Australia, Jason Taylor, Sahil Sharma and Bryden Coverdale won the team championship. Sublime Objects got a 12-point victory in the QLL Cup. Now, that's handicapped, so in theory, depending how good your team is. You should still end up with roughly the same score once handicaps taken into account. But they won by 12, defeating the handicappers. Tokyo University won Equiden, which is another online YouTube quiz, and Hongo Chargers won AQL in Japan. So Japanese quizzing in a rude and healthy state right now. You can have vote at tinyurl.com/QW25mar24. Voting is open till Friday when we'll release the winners. A shout out to this chap, Mark Kerr. He's retiring from playing in a Merseyside Quiz League after 33 years. But more than that, if you've been quizzing in this country, particularly national or international quizzing in the last 20 years, you'll have come across Mark. He's been a top quizzer, an administrator, plays internationally. He's one of the nicest guys you can meet, very supportive of so many people. His retirement from playing in MQL has been just greeted with so many tributes, and every one of them appropriate. And what's lovely about it is he gets to hear what people think of him whilst he's still alive, and that's absolutely fantastic. That makes it sound like he might not be still alive soon. It's just, you know what I mean. Anyway, time and stuff in knots. Mark deserves those plaudits, and it's lovely that he gets to hear from them. Gerard is saying, can Mark retire from Word Blitz? I keep losing to him. Mark is still going to be quizzing. He competed in the OQL quiz at the weekend. I'm sure he'll be at other things. He'll probably be at the Celtic Nations. He's certainly going to be at Greek Geek Week. So, he'll still be doing things. But that shift at MQL where he's been he was one of the leaders of that set of competitions as well as a player. He deserves all the recognition he's getting. Coming up, we got our quiz on Sunday. There's a Quest Grand Prix on 6th of April. Celtic Nations Championships happening in Glasgow 20th to 21st of April. The OQL Individual Championships are next happening on 27th of April. That quiz is set by Andrew and Frankie Fanko, who we saw on Only Connect tonight. Bundesliga's Summer Showdown, 11th to 12th of May in Delhi. The International Culture Challenge starts on the 20th of May. The OQL Weekender is the 26th to 28th of July in Blackpool. And I think that's about it, except to remind you that although time is running out, not many more shows to go, you can still nominate people and teams for Quizzer and Team of the Week at tinyurl.com/ATQ nominations. And that is it from that. So once more, thank you so much to our guests. Congratulations to Imperial for their win, but congratulations to Trinity for their play over the course of the series. Congratulations to Ruth for winning the Mastermind semi-final. Next week, all eyes will be on the Mastermind Grand Final, and we will try and bring you as many of the finalists as possible. Thank you to everybody in the chat for chatting away. Gerard has still been punning. And nice little comment here. 31st of March, the first 23-hour Easter day since I don't know when. Gerard, next week, let us know when. So we will be back for our penultimate episode next week. Until then, have a fantastic week of quizzing, and we'll see you again very, very soon. Goodbye, everybody.